I'm still getting rid of a bunch of stuff. And it's just, I love this. This is Maxine. I have a little Max as well, like a little white bear somewhere, but I don't know where he's gone. But this is Mama Bear, and then we had Baby Bear. And then this is the dress I wore when I first moved to England at 10 months old. Like, it's so cute, but it fits. It fits Mama Bear, so she's keeping it. She's had it on for like 10 plus years, I want to say. But yeah, she's definitely staying here. So this is basically a room that used to be my old childhood room, or at least the room I had when I was in my teen years as well. Because I would kind of like move back and forth, which is why I have stuff at 2 houses. But it's now used as more so a visitor's room. So even though it's a visitor's room, she stays in here. That is the rule. But yeah, we've got a lot more cleaning to do today, and I'm very excited to see what I discover. I'm going to be dealing with the books. My husband's mostly just going to be scrubbing down walls and stuff in the kitchen. And then we're just going to crack on with stuff and see how far we get, because we still have a lot of stuff to do. And I'm already tired just thinking about it. So I'm going to start now. Oh my God. I have found something. Routledge. A Dickens dictionary. Oh my God. But it's one of those like dictionaries that has like a lot of abbreviations to like various books and things. It was Dickens and it was a rare book, and I thought, let me buy it. I am never going to read this. Like, it's pretty good still. So I don't know. I might just donate this to the rare book shop downtown, and just see what they think and say. If it's still good quality, it's up to them. They can just have it. I found a whole bunch of Game of Thrones DVDs. This is just one of them. I'm gonna donate these because these are all available on Crave now. The complete collection of Rome, underrated BBC TV. It's just a really, really great series. There was only 2 seasons. It's about Julius Caesar and like all the people around him. It's just really great drama, just really great. But again, I love this series so much. And the funny thing was that Apple gave away the first episode during like the Christmas period, like a good number of years ago. And that's how I came across the series. And then I was just kind of hooked. So I was like, let me buy the DVD so I can watch them whenever. And I did. But again, they're available on Apple. And I actually have quite a few episodes in my library already. So I might just complete the series. And then I just have them whenever I want to watch them. I can just re-download and dive back into this amazing cast and the story all over again. Oh my God, I'm trying not to like headbutt things. Anyway. The first 4 books from Dan Brown in a nice little neat slipcase. I'm going to donate all of these. Oh my God. That edition of the Da Vinci Code looks kind of terrible because I read that one like 4 times. I love Dan Brown. So whenever his next book comes out, I will be right there and I will be ready to grab a copy. But oh hey, I work in publishing. Oh hey, I work in publishing. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything else. Oh my God. Oh. Oh. Okay, I have an old carpet. I have like first edition books that I want to save. I found an old journal, the Sopranos box set. I'm going to donate because again, it's available on Crave, I think. So if I want to watch any particular episodes and stuff, I'm sure I can probably find them and get them back. The Sopranos is just, I watched that entire series like 10 times and I love it. I still love it to this day. I know there was supposed to be a prequel series. I think it's already out, or it has been out for a little while. I haven't got around to watching it yet, and I'm beating myself up about it. So, I will do. But I've just found some first editions of some books that I've got. More modern, recent editions. I need to try and rescue those. Oh, I found, what is it, season 5? Game of Thrones thing from the DVD set, but it's kind of bent, so I don't know, I'll keep it. It's like, yeah, I'll just put it in here. This was my first edition of A Little Life when it first came out, guys. So this was like years before it blew up on the internet. This is a very old edition, but it's an edition from a few years ago, from when it, like I said, from when it was first printed. I am not losing this copy. I'm keeping this. The same as this one, Purity by Jonathan Franzen, hardback, same as the other one. Again, I got this the year it came out. Literally the month it came out, which was September. I don't remember the year. I want to say 2014, probably 2015. No, 2014. When did I fly out to meet you? 2015. Yeah. So 2015, September 2015 was when I got my hands on this copy in the UK. I saw a poster of it when I first came out to Toronto to visit my boyfriend at the time for the very first time. And that's how I knew he had a new book coming out. So I waited and I waited and I waited. And then a table popped up at one of my local bookstores and it was just full of copies of Purity. I grabbed a copy. I read that thing in what felt like a fever dream. It was, I loved it. I loved it. But these are the 2 editions that I need to make sure I put back in my room because I do not want to lose these. They hold a lot of sentimental, emotional value to me, and they're also first editions. So, don't want to lose these. But that's got me thinking. I do have experiences with books where I do read them so quickly, it does feel like a fever dream. So I'm going to discuss very quickly with you guys books that have actually done that. But I'm going to have to do that inside because it's cold out here and we're in the middle of clearing away leaves from my very elderly aunt. So I'm going to do that first and then I'll come back and do this. It's kind of cute. I've just found my Emily Dickinson. Oh my god, the Sims. Holy crap, Azula. Oh my god, run of my journal. What the heck? What's in here? Oh my god, secrets. But yeah, Emily Dickinson. Holy crap. I'm definitely keeping that because I love her. Sure. Oh my god. So many things in here. But oh, so some of my magical items are actually out here. Oh, I've got my little orb. My crystal ball. This is my toy clown from when I was a baby. And every time I came to visit, I would never be able to find him. Because my aunt or my mum or whoever was here would find him too creepy and they would go and hide him out in the garage. And then I just went into the garage like yesterday and I found him and I was like, what the heck? So yeah, he's back in the house for now. This needs to be sewn back together. So I'm just gonna see how much space we have in the suitcase, and if we do have space, he is gonna just come over to Toronto with me because I have no intention of ever letting this guy go. He has been my friend, he knows all my secrets, and I love him. And he was handmade. Like, that is beautiful work, you know? I'm not letting him go. So yeah, you guys can see him. And I'm sorry if you are afraid of crowns, I do apologize, but this one's cool. So he's nice. Like, he's so beautiful. Most of the stuff in this kitchen is older than me. It's great. Anyway, fever dream reads. What I mean by fever dream reads are books that are of normal size and shape that you read very quickly. Like a day, 2 days, 3 days. And all you did was eat, sleep, dream, read this book because you became temporarily delusional and obsessed with the book until it was complete. And then even after, there was the lingering aftertaste, the afterthoughts and feelings that you had about that work. And sometimes, but not all the time, you then went on to tell other people, oh my God, you should read this because of X, Y, and Z. That's what I mean by fever dream reads. So I'm just going to show you and discuss a handful of my own. Because this is the reason why I also love reading. Because if I come across a book that I don't know very much about, but a lot of people are saying, oh my God, you should read it. Or I keep coming across articles where everyone's like, yeah, you should give it a read. And then I start reading it and I find that the writing style and the story are both so immersive that it feels like as I'm reading it, a hand has just come up and has just clutched me and dragged me into the work. That's what I mean. That right there is the essence of why I love reading. The fact that I'm able to get so immersed in something that it feels like nothing else exists. Like I'm living in a whole separate timeline with this book. The first book, which is a bit of a cop-out, because when I first read this one, which is Bram Stoker by Dracula. Let's try that again. The first book is Dracula by Bram Stoker. When I first read this, it did feel like somewhat of a fever dream, but I was like 7, 8 years old. I found it in the school library and I borrowed it. And I would take my time every day reading through like the journal entries and the letters. I don't know how long it took me when I was 7. I want to say maybe a month to read the whole thing from cover to cover. Not fully understanding it, but knowing that there was something bad happening, but there was like a monster and stuff. But I absolutely fell in love with it. And ever since then, it has become a yearly tradition that I read Dracula and or Frankenstein when it gets into like the fall season. So when I read these now as an adult, they are very much like a fever dream. I can read these in like a couple days and I'm good. And then sometimes if I'm feeling it, I want to try and read it again, which is when I then go on to the other book. So I either read this one and then, because I'm still in the mood for this one after I finished, I then usually jump straight into Frankenstein. But this year things have changed a little bit. I've been looking at other forms of horror, which has been great, but I'm still in love with these two books. Another book that I read really quickly, it was mostly because we were studying it when I was studying English literature, and that is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. The stream of consciousness style in this book is something that I found very easy to follow, while a lot of other people did find it a little bit annoying and a little confusing, a little bit jarring sometimes. I found that I kind of got into the flow pretty quickly with this one. So again, I read this one in like a day, and because we were studying it that week, I think it was over a week or 2 weeks that we were studying this particular work. I did try and read it again, but I was reading it really slowly because there were certain passages that we had to pull quotes from in order to critique it properly. But I loved it, and it's still a book that I still thoroughly love today. Another of the books by her that also felt like an absolute fever dream to me, which is probably my favorite of all of her works. Actually, two of them are Mrs. Dalloway and Orlando. Both books, to me were just really beautiful, especially Orlando. Oh my God. And if you can find the Tilda Swinton adaptation, I highly recommend reading the book first and then watching the adaptation. It's an experience. It's a fever dream you want to have and you want to spread. So this one is To the Lighthouse. I would highly, highly, highly recommend the other two as well. The other book, which for some reason, I don't know why, but every time I looked at my bookcase at home, I thought I saw it there. So I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but I found this here. It's so good that I haven't been feeling the itch to read it again recently. But this is Perfume, Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. I absolutely love this book. I love this book. I still talk about this book. There is a different edition of this book available at the store that I work, which I'm very tempted to buy. This book is just, it's so good. So good. The way it's written, the passages, the story itself is very kind of like, oh, huh? But it's like, you just get so immersed in it and you just love reading what the main character is doing because it's so weird, but I love it. The main character from this is known as Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, and his story is just, what? But it took me a few hours in one day to read this, partially because, like I said, the story was really immersive and it completely grabbed my attention, but also partly because the imagery from the movie was still very fresh in my mind. So getting through this story was not a slog, was not a chore at all. I dived in headfirst and came out righteous at the end. I loved this book. I still highly recommend it to people. I don't really know how to describe it to people in order to encourage them to read it. But it's one of those personal books that I find there's like a list of books that are just too personal for me to share with other people, because it's almost like it gives me the feeling of like someone saying like, let me see your sock drawer. It's like, why? That's personal. It's private. I don't want you to know about that. So this is definitely one of those books in there where it's just, if someone were to read it and tell me that they didn't like it, I would be very, very sad for a very long time. But yeah, literally a few hours. I would highly recommend watching the movie as well. You can watch or read in either order. Read the book first, watch the movie, or watch the movie and then read the book. It doesn't matter. The movie adaptation is so close to this book. It is basically a perfect copy. And that's just my opinion. But again, fever dream read, and I love it. Another two books that I don't have with me right now are Book of Goose by Yun Lee. That took me maybe 2 days. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still sort of like existing in a world where those lingering afterthoughts are still very much there, to the point where I feel like maybe I shouldn't have had like a 2-day sprint read of that book. Maybe I should have read it a little bit slowly, or a little bit slower. So I don't know, maybe at some point in the near future, alongside Crossroads, I'll be able to get around and rereading it again. But that book is so good. And I thought it was really, really different and just really cool. The other book that also took me literally 2 days to read, and again, left me with a lot of afterthoughts after, was All Our Wrong Todays by Ilan Mastai. That was a book that also, I was actually ill when I read that book for the first time, so I was actually having a fever, which was funny, I just remembered. But again, I got so sucked into the story that it literally took me a few hours across 2 days to read the whole thing. I was just fully immersed, and it was definitely a trip. Both books, The Book of Goose and All of Our Wrong Todays, they were just a trip, and it was very much a trip or a mini adventure that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did, and they completely blew my expectations out of the water. I absolutely love and highly recommend both books. Maybe together, because you can have like different slights of flavor, I guess. I don't know, just read them because they're great. And the very last one that came to mind, and this is the one that really, I guess, helped me realize that I would have fever dream descriptions about books. I have read this entire work, but at the time that we needed to read this, which was for, I want to say during my first year of uni, I don't quite remember, we had to read the first book. And the text in this hasn't really changed that much. This book was written in 1824. And it's James Hogg's The Private Memoirs and Confessions of a Justified Sinner. I had to read and study The Confessions of a Justified Sinner. I read that book, or at least that portion of the book, in just under 3 hours. I was so engrossed in the story. The language did not faze me at all, because again, it was a slightly different level of English language being used in here. It did not faze me. I read it like this guy was whispering the story in my ear. 3 hours. And I remember this purely because, yeah, it was my first year. Because one of my roommates at the time, I'd started reading the book. She then left to go to some sort of like uni meeting somewhere with her group. And then by the time she got home, I had just closed the book. That was less than 3 hours. That is insane. And the text in here is not necessarily easy, but you have to bear in mind, I read Chaucer and other Middle English and even even newer works from like Shakespeare's time, like Tudor English, like Middle English. I read that stuff for fun. Even now I still do. So the language in here for me was pretty easy, which was why I was able to get completely engrossed in this story. But what the heck? That was the very first time. I remember when I finished it, my roommate was like, have you just finished that book? And I was like, yeah. I was in shock. It's been years and I'm still in shock about it. So it's actually really good to see that I still have the physical copy. I'm keeping this on my shelf, but I still talk about it today. I'm like, this is the weirdest book I've ever read. Like, it's not weird in the sense that the story is weird or anything, but it was just a very weird experience when I had read it. I laid on my back. I thought I would get uncomfortable. I did not. And 2.5 hours later, I was done. I was shocked. I'm still shocked about it, which is why I'm not saying much about it. But yeah, fever dream reads. That's exactly what they are. And I love them. I love them. I just love them. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop here. Thank you very much for watching this particular video as well. I hope it wasn't too boring for you, but I'm gonna go because there's still a lot more cleaning to do and a lot more books that I'm getting through. So yeah. Yeah, bye. Oh my God. The memories, man. The memories of this place is just wild to me. It's great, but it's also just really kind of bittersweet and somber.